Collective bargaining seems to have taken a step forward for college football athletes. According to reports on Sunday night in Nashville, Pete Nakos of On 3 reports that 23 Power 4 general managers gathered with Jim Cavale and Brandon Copeland of athletes.org, a players association, to discuss collective bargaining. College athletics is in the midst of a summer upheaval. The Big Ten and SEC have yet to reach an agreement on the future of the college football playoff. The House settlement has ushered in the revenue sharing era, introducing a new enforcement entity that has been met with opposition, plus an executive order signed by Trump. All this being said, basically, as we know, a lot of schools are now hiring general managers to determine how they're going to divvy up their funds and things like that. It's looking like this was a way to try to figure out how athletes can start to collectively bargain. And this is What the H, brought to you by Rick Terry Jewelry Designs. They want to be your jeweler looking for affordable game day jewelry, a Tennessee tradition, rickterryjewelry.com. Now, let's break down what this all means. Okay, so there was a 5-hour meeting with 23 Power 4 general managers. And it was a discussion on moving to collective bargaining model. All 23 agreed this is the best pathway forward for college sports. Now, some parts of this that are relevant. The group was 100% in favor of removing the portal window during the season and 100% supported performance-based incentives. General managers also voiced their opinions for a formal agent certification process and registry. Here's the hard part, and this is actually directly tied to Tennessee because Tennessee Athletic Director Danny White shared a proposal that would establish a national organization to employ and unionize athletes. Everybody that's talking about this way of paying players and figuring out what to do is still ignoring the elephant in the room. And I don't know how many times I can insist this, and I don't know how many times I can say it, and I don't know how many times I can teach people what legally they can and can't do. There is nothing you can do with regards to collective bargaining, with regards to anything like this, to cap the amount of money players make in NIL. We are having a conversation here about 1% of the revenue that actually is being thrown around among players right now compared to what the boosters are throwing around with players in a lot of ways, okay? You can sit there and say, oh, we'll split this $20 million, they'll collectively bargain. Okay, but boosters oftentimes are throwing $40 million at players. Who cares? And you legally, I want to insist this, can't do anything about it. They're trying to do something about it. They're trying to set up something where you have to prove it's a pay for play versus you're doing it for a profit, but you legally can't stop that because of the Sherman Antitrust Act. I'm tired of college football officials. I'm tired of politicians pretending that law doesn't exist. I don't care about any of these solutions. There is nothing legally anybody can do or will be able to do or should be able to do to stop an athlete from taking money from a third-party source for whatever reason they want to take money from them for. That is an antitrust violation. You can have this collective bargaining over how players are paid. People, I don't know why people can't get this distinction in their head. There is a difference between what the school is paying players and what third-party boosters and endorsers are paying players, okay? What's confusing a lot of people is we have pointed out repetitively that in many times they are one and the same because the schools and the coaches talk to the boosters and say the players they want and the players they want them to spend money on. What's not being discussed, though, is there's no legal way to stop that money coming in. There is a legal way to regulate the actual employment and pay that the schools directly pay the players. There's no legal way to regulate what third-party boosters are paying players. You can complain, you can cry, you can say it's destroying college sports, but it is anti-capitalist, anti-free market, and antitrust to regulate that on the open market. There is nothing they can do. The House settlement is trying to set up this enforcement mechanism they tried to set up this enforcement mechanism where boosters have to prove that this endorsement is an actual endorsement and not pay for play. How do you prove that? You're allowed to endorse whatever the heck you want. Okay? No other endorser or advertiser has to do that. A lot of radio stations, a lot of stations in general have advertisers for commercials that lose money on the deal. They lose money because they still want to support the cause, so they don't mind losing money because they like the content that's being produced. That's pay for broadcast, basically. Pay for play, whatever you want to call it. They're not getting a return. No one steps in and says, well, you got to prove you're making money on that return. Why should that be for athletes? This is absolutely insane, and it drives me crazy. And I mean, it's just, and Adam has a great point. Imagine if you couldn't hire a consultant to help your business improve because competitors claim it's unfair. You're right. You're right. And there is no level of regulation that you can put on this or that you should put on this. So everybody talking about athletes collective bargaining, that's not going to address the point. The point is boosters throwing money at players. Texas Tech just threw a bunch of money at players. The funny enough, the Texas Tech booster that did that is now asking Trump he's going to ask him to step in and put in this executive order that has no teeth. It has no teeth because there's nothing legally anybody can do about it. And it's funny. Basically what he's saying is, government, please save me from myself. Please stop me from having to spend this much money to buy a championship. That's what he's really saying, okay? There's nothing you can do to protect boosters and endorsers from themselves unless you pass legislation that will not be passed. What DH is brought to you by Rick Terry Jewelry Designs.
Having been in the jewelry industry for a long time in the Knoxville community, I saw a need for a jeweler, a real jeweler.
Our ability to do these designs has really been based on the customers bringing new things in and challenging us as a store. Our goal is not to tell anybody what they want. Our goal is to listen to what they want and then help them get there.
Schedule your consultation today to get your special someone the perfect custom gift just in time for the holidays.
General Ursus says the problem isn't players getting paid. The problem is nobody had a plan in place when they decided to make it legal. This is just getting old. Just get rid of it and all go back to paying them under the table. You are right, General Ursus. They should have had a plan. The NCAA should have had a plan on this years ago, and they should have figured something out before it got to this, because now they're just going to lose every case. But General Ursus, the problem isn't the lack of plan. That you're right. The problem is the lack of plan. But the real problem is just NIL, in the sense of the real problem is third-party boosters can pay people for whatever they want to pay them for. And guess what? You legally can't stop that. There's nothing legally you can do to step in and say third-party boosters can't pay these players to do whatever they want. You can do it in certain ways. You can do it like things like gambling on the sport. You can prove if someone's paying you to gamble on the sport, yeah, gambling on the sport is its own problems. But what you can't prove is, if they're paying you to play, they are allowed to do that. That is totally legal, and it's absolutely ridiculous. Now, Sam Schrock says they are trying to avoid what has happened in the MLB with the Dodgers and Yankees just outspending everyone. It's not fun for the sport. But Sam, here's the thing you're missing. You're right, they are. But the Dodgers and Yankees are outspending everyone by paying them direct salaries. There can be revenue sharing on what the schools directly pay the players. You can't in any way regulate what the third-party boosters want to pay the players. They can claim it as an endorsement. They can sit up there all day and be like, this is an endorsement. And they don't have to make a return on an endorsement. People lose money on endorsements and investments all the time. So you can't really stop this. There's no way to really regulate it. And that's the problem they're having. So I got to be honest with you guys. This is a real honest issue for college sports, and I don't think they can fix it. They may think they can fix it. They have no path to fix this, and you're just going to have to accept that the markets and the floodgates are open, and they will be open for the rest of time. And truth be told, so what? Let them be open. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I think this is great for the sport overall. I don't mind the negotiations. No one really cares once it comes to Saturday. Once it comes to Saturday and you're between the lines, people are just like, can this guy get me a first down on 4th and 1? That's how fans think. Everybody is on a fake soapbox otherwise. And quite honestly, I don't really care to hear it because I think it's massive overreaction. But that's just my thoughts.